What, sorry?
Do you know about this guy that had plastic surgery and he was like this British guy, fantasizing over like BTS or something, decided to get plastic surgery to where he looked Asian, and so when he did that, he like said, "Oh, I'm Asian now. I'm transitioning my race because got plastic surgery to make my eyes look like an Asian and a Korean or whatever." And it was a big thing on the internet, and it was crazy. Like,
Hello everyone and welcome back to the James Rambling Show, coming at you live on Friday night. Tonight's your host, James May.
hello, welcome back to the James Rambling Show. You've all heard enough of me rambling. Today we have a very special guest, and his name is Navie. That's going to be his nickname. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Navie. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, we've been friends for about 2 years now, and the topic we're going to be discussing stuff around South Korea, which is one of his passions.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like one of the things he likes. So where do you want to start? Because we could take this in any direction, to be honest with you, any sort of thing.
Okay, so to start off, I just want to say South Korea is an economical miracle. They went from the poorest, like literally the poorest countries in the world, to now one of the richest, the top 10 richest in the world.
Yeah.
Like they're worth like just like a few dozen billions, or like even a few billions, to like over $1 trillion in like 50 years.
No,
So yeah.
yeah, I feel like you've told me this before once, which was yeah, it was a bit of an interesting fact there. Personally, I don't really know that much about South Korea, but I have heard you sort of ramble on about it a lot from the time
Yeah,
I've known you.
definitely.
Yeah, I can recall.
I could easily just let it say.
Yeah, you have a bit of an obsession with it, and I sort of recall that time when you got like very into K-pop, and then that like transcended into like K-drama, and then it just went from there, and you just got into the culture and everything, so it just like transcended into that kind of thing.
Yeah, um, my first song ever listening to K-pop was Gangnam Style in like 2013.
Yeah, I never knew that was a K-pop song, to be honest, like originally, because I
Me
just,
neither.
but then later on, sort of discovered that it was K-pop because there's a Korean artist and it was like pop music, whatever. And I'm pretty sure that the guy that made the Gangnam Style PSY, whatever his name is, he made a new song recently, in this year, with this member of BTS, I think.
Yeah, I forgot who it was. I think it's either Suga or Yoongi. One of those two.
Mm.
Um, but Psy was actually he was part of YG Entertainment when he made Gangnam Style.
Mm.
And Gangnam Style is what made YG like it made YG well off. I think they made 30 something million dollars off of it.
Jeez, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. No, that was only half. They split half. I think it was 70 million.
Oh, okay, so it's not really that much compared to the amount, I guess.
Yeah.
So the things I remember you talking about South Korea usually stemmed from like the education, yeah, the education system, and
Oh yeah,
there's
man.
there's a lot of
I can't
things.
say.
Yeah, you want to dive into that?
Those kids in South Korea, like man, like they deserve medals for their dedication to school.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily like actually want to do it. They're more like forced to. Like each kid has their own perspective on things. But so basically, in South Korea, your future is decided by a test. The test is called Sanyong. It's a university entrance exam. And companies like really good companies like Samsung, Hyundai, they all look for like graduates from top universities. So each and every single kid, like, they want to get into top university. And I know two universities that are really good. Yonsei and Seoul National University. They're like one of the best in North Korea. They're in
Well,
top five.
sorry, heard like the stories of how these students will like they will study like for a long periods of time, like at least
Oh yeah, man.
yeah like at least like over 6 hours long, and maybe even more than that.
Yeah, the typical school day can go from 15 to like 20 hours, really depends. 12 to 20 hours.
Damn. Yeah, there is a.
Yeah. 20 hours is sort of like of a stretch, but like at least 12 hours. 12 to 16 hours, that's the norm.
Yeah. Well, I guess they have to work hard for that paper. I guess that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. South Korea has a very different sort of education outlook compared to other countries. Like, not every country has like that sort of thing where they're gonna have these students studying for 10 hours or whatever. They usually,
Yeah, definitely, man.
yeah, yeah, and I guess.
But I do know two countries that like they have similar like type of thing. One is China. They have a similar thing. It's called a Gaokao. It's a university entrance exam. So China sort of has like a similar type of education as Korea. And then there's India, which like the reason some kids study heaps is because of their parents. And I've actually fell victim to that before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
So, yeah.
yeah, I don't really recall a time where I sort of had to do that sort of thing. Cause I'm sort of from a I'm sort of from a different background, I guess. Like in my time,
Yeah.
I can't recall a time where there was like so much high standards and pressure on like education and stuff like that. Like, just the whole thing was just trying to do well and to do your best and stuff like that. Not really putting a lot of emphasis on, oh, I'm gonna study for 10 hours or I'm gonna study for 16 hours, whatever. It's just about studying and stuff like that. And I think that, and from what I heard, there's teachers in Scotland that they are kind of strict to some students, but like, it's sort of like that thing where they're trying to encourage the students to do better, and so they don't fail and stuff like that. So yeah, it's sort of the.
Yeah. There's something I want to add about the Sanyong. For some people, it decides their marriages. The test. It literally decides their marriages for some people.
Interesting.
That's how big it is.
Yeah, that's.
And on Sanyong, there's no flights happening that day. All flights are cancelled.
Damn, that's like a bit of a sacrifice.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, that.
They happen one day every year. So yeah.
So that's the education side of things. What's like another topic we could what's another sort of topic we want to.
We could talk about K-pop.
We could, I guess we could like expand, because we did mention K-pop in the first half.
I would love to. I would love to talk about the training.
Oh yeah,
K-pop.
like expanding on that, I guess. So yeah, go ahead.
So I'm not gonna go like just say off the bat that all companies are really strict. They stop their like trainings. Like, of course, it's harsh. The environment is definitely a bit harsh. Like idols, they're called idols, and it's for a reason. they are trained to be perfect in front of the public. So this also results into dating bans for like many groups. It's something to do with like fantasizing about them, but like they can't like it's really hard. So a typical day could be like 6 to 8 hours of dancing. Um, I I read online that if you don't know Korean, you spend this is SM Entertainment, by the way, one of the big three K-pop companies, well, entertainment companies in Korea, that you could spend around 4 to 5 hours a day learning Korean. But don't take my word for it. It's I just read online. But the training is very intense. Like I saw this documentary once. Like they would dance all day long, and the
Yeah.
standards are really high as well. Like you could be so good, so charming and attractive, that yet you could not make it.
Yeah,
So it's really intense.
you've definitely told me like about how the K-pop
Mm.
artists have to train like all day, and it's
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like that gets to the point where these idols and whatnot start to feel a bit like suicidal because it's a lot of pressure
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So that's
It's
sort
not
of
only that, it's also like South Korea has a very like perfect standard for idols. Like there's one idol who committed suicide. I forgot the reason, but like I think it was to social media pressure or dating. I don't know. But like, oh yeah, another thing. There was this some member of Twice. Her name is Momo. She starved herself for 7 days. She only ate one ice cube every day for 7 days.
uh
She was told she had to lose 7 kgs in a week.
hmm.
So that's what she did.
Well, that's
Yeah.
a bit intense there. Mm,
Yeah, definitely, man.
that's would you say this occurs in like any other Asian countries? Like, have you noticed the fact that this has happened like
Um,
in like
I mean,
Japan
many
or?
Asian countries, not many, but like, there's a good portion of Asian countries that like are very like perfectionist countries. One of this is North Korea. Like, so if you visit North Korea, which I don't think you can anymore, you're not allowed to take photos of any like construction sites or anything because they want to have a perfect image.
Uh,
But people do know that their population is starving. That is for sure.
yeah, I mean like I I
Yeah.
I think I think I told you this, but I watched this one guy who actually went to North Korea to test it out, and I think it was this New Zealander guy, but I can't remember the channel, and he
Mhm.
was just testing to see if he can like cope there well, and like he said that you can't have like Bibles or whatever, and it was like all of this
Oh
crazy
yeah,
stuff
you
you couldn't
can.
do. Yeah.
So the leaders, the so-called supreme leaders of the countries, are actually like gods there. They're literal gods in North Korea.
Yeah. It's
So
kind.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a form of idolship there.
Yeah. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad
Yeah,
how these leaders are treated like gods, even though they're doing all these things to like restrict their people and stuff. And it's insane stuff there.
yeah.
Uh, do you have
So
any
yeah,
other like thing comments on like
yeah.
Korea?
Like I would like to talk more about like how South Korea became really rich.
Oh yeah, you can do that.
So
Yeah.
basically, I'll tell you a portion of the story, not the whole story, because I don't know the whole story. I forgot, but like, so what the Korean government basically they put a trust into a bunch of companies. They granted the companies like privileges, like the leadership can't get arrested. They don't have to pay tax and more. They
Mm.
even got funding from the government. Those companies. One of these companies being Samsung. Samsung it equates to like a good percentage of Korea's GDP. And so in 1980s, I like to call it the Korean Rush or the Korean Hard Rush. Basically, the generation of the time worked really hard like extremely hard, even harder than this generation, I suppose. They all got good jobs. They educated themselves really well, and this propelled the South Korean GDP. I call it the Korean Rush. Well, I don't know if it propelled, but like it's a big part of Korea now.
Oh,
Like everyone worked really hard. So there's actually like in some companies they have a policy before this was huge in 1980s. You can't leave before the CEO, and the CEO is normally the earliest one to arrive and leave. So people could be working 20 hours a day, 15 hours a day, 10 hours a day. It really depends on the CEO. But now this rule is getting like, South Korea is becoming more modern, less like so strict. It's strict nonetheless, but like, you know what I mean.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. There's a lot to take in there, I guess.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, like, I think I do want to say that I guess you sort of got me into like Korean stuff, kinda, to be honest.
oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
I remember talking like writing essays about Blackpink.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, all K-pop.
Yeah, you wouldn't stop.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like, I think you showed me these bands of K-pop and I listened to it and I thought I actually liked it. And like
yeah,
from there I just like listened to it. I don't really listen to K-pop that much anymore, but mm, yeah.
yeah. I still listen to K-pop, but like I'm not a huge fan anymore.
Yeah, that sort of
Like I,
happens.
I, I love the music. K-pop is the only music I really listen to, but like I don't stand and like I'm not obsessed over the groups anymore. And of course, I still love them. My my celebrity crush is still JD and Blackpink. Like before, I used to obsess about them too much. I even paid $50 for a concert one time.
Mm.
This is an online concert, the show.
Okay, so like, were you able? Were you not? I don't suspect that you were able to get in due to the lockdown stuff, or
No, it was online.
oh, well, it was an online concert. I thought you like booked tickets online to go to a
Yeah,
live stage
Blackpink
in
show.
person. Okay, never mind. So how was that?
It made $10 million.
Oh, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there was this one time when you showed me this live stream of like Blackpink or whatever, like them premiering their new songs or something. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they made an entire like music video about it. And you've shown me like K-pop music videos at school and stuff as well. I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Also, South Korea is a very powerful military nation, and I reckon this is because of like the mandatory military requirements for men. There's a mandatory age and like requirements for like men, like they have to serve a period of years. It's mandatory if you're a citizen of Korea. I forgot the years. It's over 3. I know that much.
Hmm.
But yeah, South Korea has millions of personnel. A few million at least.
That's that's something.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So the reason for this is actually the Korean War never really ended. Like, of course, like you don't see North Korean tanks in South Korea anymore, but like North Korea attacked South Korea multiple times before, after the war. Like small battles happened. So because of this, there is a mandatory like thing. There is a mandatory age and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you told me this. You told me about how
Also,
yeah.
also, I'd love to add like South Korea loves its beauty. Like, is really into beauty. Like, plastic surgery is huge there. Like, it's really huge.
Oh yeah, and speaking like if we're gonna stick to that topic, you know that guy that tried to turn in that was transracial or something like that.
What, sorry?
Do you know about this guy that had plastic surgery and he was like this British guy, fantasizing over like BTS or something, decided to get plastic surgery to where he looked Asian, and so when he did that, he like said, "Oh, I'm Asian now. I'm transitioning my race because got plastic surgery to make my eyes look like an Asian and a Korean or whatever." And it was a big thing on the internet, and it was crazy. Like, but it was kind of silly because like, that's kind of gonna mock people, sort of like mocking people with that, like saying, "Oh, I'm gonna be turning into this race," even though it's like, yeah, it's kind of like mocking them because like that's what they look like, and someone just doing that kind of is gonna make not gonna make them happy and stuff. Did you hear about that guy, that British guy?
No, this is my first time.
Oh, well, it was a bit.
Honestly, that is a really unhealthy obsession of BTS.
Yeah, to the point where this guy literally had made a decision where he is gonna put have some like surgery on his face to look like a Korean, and and you could just tell from the way he was doing it, he was trying to do it for like attention and everything. It was quite insane.
Yeah,
So what were you gonna say? Because I sort of just thought of that, to be honest.
Oh, I actually forgot, huh?
Sorry.
Oh, no. I was
Sorry.
talking about plastic surgery of Korea. So, like,
Oh yeah.
before people get jobs, it's common for people to get plastic surgery to, like, get accepted, like, quicker for jobs. Not quicker, but, like, to have a bigger, like, chance of getting accepted. So they have plastic surgery in Korea.
Hmm.
It's really, really common, especially among young people. Oh, even idols. It's common for idols to have plastic surgery. K-pop idols. So yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why they kind of left to look standing and everything, because they've got plastic surgery there to make them look better, I guess.
Yeah, that's the point. They want to look better, so yeah. Also, South Koreans have really low weights. Like, I'm not talking about every Korean, but like it's a culture there to have like low weight. Like, I'm talking about 40 something kgs, 50 something kgs.
Uh,
Like, men tend to be 60 kgs or something. Which I guess is normal.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of. Why do you think Koreans or like South Koreans or whatever are that weight normally? Well, usually and commonly, whatever.
I don't know the exact reason, but I'm gonna say K-pop, K-drama, they have influence over these things. I'm not saying that's the sole reason, but like that must be a part of the reason.
Yeah,
K-drama, K-pop, and that type of culture, like people want to be like these idols. As you just said, a guy was wanting to be like BTS.
yeah. I'll have to.
So like if being an idol can get someone that far, think about what it can do to other people.
Yeah.
Like this is lightweight.
Yeah, probably after the show, I'll probably send you. So I'll send you like an article or something about that guy, because even though you probably don't want to see it, just so like you knew what I was talking about, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like that story alone was kind of was was something else. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the first guy that did, was he. I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't the last guy who tried to do something like that. Cause like the thing is, there's a lot of there's a lot of people who tend to get obsessed with something and then they just go way too far with it, and then it's like, oh man, this person has just went too far with things.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm sure you heard of strange addictions and that type of things. That sort of thing happens when someone gets that obsessed. They wanna try and be exactly like that and make basically that their lifestyle. So yeah, that's kind of cements
Yeah.
that point.
Do you have any questions about South Korea for me?
Well, the thing is, I kind of have like an unempty list. To be honest,
Yeah.
there's a lot.
Do you have any questions I don't in mind?
Hmm?
Do you have any questions in your mind at all?
I was gonna ask you like what got you into this sort of thing, but then I remembered that it had to do with K-pop, K-drama type thing.
Oh yeah, man. So like, I really admire Koreans. Like I really, really do. Like the success story for the economy, how hard they work, even the culture there. I really love it. Like
Yeah.
South Korea is definitely like it's just like exciting, I guess.
Mm,
Especially as a young person being 16, like I definitely would want to do better and like try new things and stuff. In South Korea, definitely gets me more exposed to those things. So
yeah.
I'm like, hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I get more exposed to it, and like I'm like, yay. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Fair enough. We all find the thing that we enjoy, I guess.
yeah.
Just so happens to be that you like South Korea, and that's
I actually read about this case the other day. Not a case, but like it was a YouTube video. I forgot. I'm not gonna say what case it was, but like it's really famous. So this group of boys went missing, and it caught the attention of Korean presidents. And apparently, 300,000 cops were looking for them
ah
in Korea. There was a huge nationwide search for the boys. So yeah,
that's
kudos to the president.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's really like insane. So like
yeah,
you do know a little bit about sort of Korean true crime, I guess.
yeah. I don't know too much, but like that's the only case I remember on top of my head. Then there's a Japanese case, and it was called Junk. Actually, no. I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah, that
It's viewer discretion be advised. It's really, really horrible.
yeah, well, you don't really need to.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. It's too much.
Yeah, you don't.
But if there's any kids watching, I don't want to expose them to that stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, that sort of thing.
Like little kids.
Yeah,
Of course, we are kids, but like 10-year-olds, 9-year-olds.
yeah, obviously.
I don't want them to know about this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm not too sure if any like even if there is like barely any 9 to 10 year olds watching this episode or whatever. Yeah, it's still kind of encouraged not doing it. So just for that sake. So
Yeah. So yeah, also one of my goals is to move to South Korea when I get older and study there for like some years. Like college.
yeah, I think you told me this before.
I would love to study abroad to South Korea or other countries.
Yeah, we'll see.
So,
We'll see how that turns out. See if
yeah,
the world will open up a bit for that to happen.
yeah. Honestly, I do love South Korea a lot, but like I'm not that crazy about it. Like I am obsessed, but like I'm not just gonna move to a country because I like it.
Yeah,
It
like
has to be artifact. Like, imagine I just moved to South Korea to meet BTS and live there for the rest of my life. That's insane. That's absurd.
yeah. There's sometimes when people like they just want to go to a country for the sake of a thing that they particularly enjoy, even though they're probably gonna start enjoying a lot more about it, even with that said. So
Yeah, my advice to you is when you're obsessed about something, do keep yourself in check.
yeah,
Set a limit when you're obsessed.
yeah,
Set a point where you cannot go further.
yeah. Cause like sometimes when you get
It might really burn you.
because like
Like the
sometimes
British guy who changed his looks to be Korean.
yeah, there has to be a limit. Cause like sometimes it's a bit over the top and that type of thing, and it can be a bit risky and stuff like that. And
On top of it, he was an adult. I'm a 16-year-old saying that. Imagine how obsessed he must have been.
yeah, I actually think this guy was over his 20s or something like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was something like that, and it just goes to show that there's people who do anything for attention, I guess.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just.
I'm actually curious to see what it looks like, his before and after photos.
Yeah, I might. Like I said, I'll probably send you an article or something or whatever about him.
Yeah.
Because I did watch a video about that guy ages ago. Like I think it was like 2 years ago, like last year, whatever. It was very uncomfortable. Like what that guy did to himself. Like like you could say, oh, it's his decision and everything, but you've got to admit that it wasn't nice, because literally, having a guy that is trying to look like a different like race and everything, which wasn't really right to do, I guess. So that kind of thing wasn't the best decision for him to make. So do you have anything else to say?
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say?
Actually, you've been exposed to Korea yourself. What's your stories? Do you have any stories about Korea you like to share?
Well, as I said,
I know you watched Squid Game.
yeah, like as I said earlier, you sort of got me into that sort of thing. But yeah. The only sort of story kind of I have is like when I kind of I sort of went down a big, well, I guess big like K-drama rabbit hole where I just binged a lot of K-dramas, and it sort of got to the point where I was just like binging these things all the time. And I haven't.
That was me, and still is me.
Yeah, but I haven't watched any in ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I remember my friend, your friend. He had a half Korean friend, and like I was just so crazy. Like I did this on purpose, by the way. I'm not really crazy, but like for like the longest time, I was spamming in the chats. Let me be his friend. Let me be his friend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like of course I did it on purpose though.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause
I wasn't really like that.
yeah, I had a friend that was actually like half Korean or whatever.
Whoa,
no.
Whoa.
Hold
Tread
on.
carefully. I'm kidding.
Sorry. Let me rephrase that, because I really messed up the detail there. But yeah, I have a friend who has a friend who's half Korean. There we go. That was the detail. That was the detail I was trying to go for there.
Rest in peace, my hopes. I'm kidding.
So yeah, that's a Navie. That's a Navie for you. His story is just really being into Korea, and who knows, we might do an episode where he comes back, talks about a different thing or a different country in Asia or something like that, and then we'll
stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. And it was nice having you on the show. Bit of a
Yes.
bit of a
My
change.
pleasure. 감사합니다.
Yeah.
Demonstration Korean.
Yeah. Well, though I did want you on for a while, and then I had all these other ideas, and then that sort of pit stopped there. But we made it happen. We made it happen. So that's the main thing. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yeah.
Don't forget, obviously, check it out on Spotify, second channel with the reviews and everything. So yeah, you wanna do a self plug or anything?
I know it means bye.
Like, do you wanna shout out your social media or whatever?
Follow me on Instagram, Navie293, Navie 293. That's Navie293.
Anything else? Any other social medias you want people to follow? Or?
Not really. I mean, I have a Quora page, but like, I'm not really like trying like. I don't want to shout myself out on Quora. Like Instagram, yeah, definitely. At Navie298.
So yeah, that's
pretty. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome,
James.
It's been a long time coming.
It was a pleasure talking.
Yep.
Yes, long time coming.
It has been a very long time coming.
Yeah.
How do you say goodbye in Korea? Just to end it on that note.
Yeah. Bye.
How do you say goodbye in Korea?
Annyeong.
Annyeong. Annyeong.